expected to miss the Clippers' final 9 games of the regular season. The NCAA tournament resumes tonight. UCLA is a 2-point favorite over Gonzaga in the West Regional Semifinal in Las Vegas. 6:45 tip-off on CBS. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
It's Aaron from Original Taco Pete. Let us cater your March Madness munchies. Order with us at Original Taco Pete on Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, or stop into our Slauson and Crenshaw location. We'll feed you soon.
This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency anywhere putting more variety and more diversity on the air than KBLA Talk 1580, we sure would like to hear about your discovery.
You got to have vision.
You can search, but we are confident that you won't find more shows covering more topics, hosted by a more diverse and inclusive lineup of talkers than the squad we have assembled here at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the time, brothers. This is the time.
We've got something for everybody.
That's right.
Health and healing, history and humor, issues and events, empowerment and entertainment, all in one station.
What's really going on?
Free enterprise, you dig?
KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me.
Hi, I'm civil rights attorney Areva Martin, host of Areva Martin in Real Time. Weekdays, 4 to 6 p.m. right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Be sure to tune in weekdays at 4:35 p.m. for your daily download on the federal bribery trial of LA City Council member Mark Ridley Thomas. The case is sure to have many twists and turns, and our program will be the show of record in the case of United States versus Mark Ridley Thomas. We have our own seasoned justice correspondent who will be checking in with us to keep you up to speed on the daily details of this high-profile legal case. Be sure to tune in to Areva Martin in Real Time weekdays at 4:35 p.m. for United States versus Mark Ridley Thomas, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Order in the court.
Circle is full, and I ain't got no time to be showing y'all the difference between the lame and the cool. I know you're thinking cause you know me, you invited to the housewarming when I caught that crib with the pool. I know you're mad we came from the same place at the same amount of time, but you ain't know how to move. Yeah, it came full circle. It ain't no space because my circle is full.
Look, hey yo, we infamous. I ain't choose this life, I was picked for this. This one pie broken down in increments, dog. My squad different. And if we on the stage, you know we ripping shit. We saw y'all and thought we saw a hypnotist. Damn, come on, we generous. We got love to share and it's limitless. Pray you don't interfere with the businesses. Check the numbers on me, God. There's millions of witnesses. And paranoia got me young, killing my innocence. Now it's time to level up. Take your past lessons and ask questions. My nigga no more half-stepping. You half legend. The other half fan blessings and transgressions and skills from them trap lessons and rap sessions. I'm stressing. Y'all better get my rookie card now. Once the price go up, I can't let it fall down. Praising Almighty from the mighty North Town. I've been spending all nighters doing 90 northbound. On my way, the kid working, the M's lurking. I pen verses, I write them down in peer cursive. I live perfect, but still searching off mere surface. We stronger now, just calm it down. You appear nervous, we still learning. We thrill seekers, but we feel workers. Them slave wages and these tear jerkers. Them same angles on them blank pages till it's curtains. You know we're home turf. Don't even question how it's full circle.
KBLA Talk 1580. Yep, that's Miles Lowe music. Speaking of supporting the locals, speaking of getting that rookie card now, Miles Lowe music, you can find him on Instagram or wherever you get your downloadable music. So happy to have with us for our daily deep dive today someone who can sort of help us get our minds around quite a few things that are going on in the world at the moment. He's the author of more than 30 books and 100 scholarly articles and reviews. He holds the Moores Professorship of History and African American Studies And, he's got a J.D. and a Ph.D., went to Columbia University and UC Berkeley and Princeton. If that wasn't enough, you can catch his lectures on the YouTube. Dr. Gerald Horne, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Welcome. Great to hear your voice.
Thank you for inviting me.
Where to start? There's so much going on. Well, something we haven't really talked about that I think it kind of ties into what's going on here in Los Angeles is these French people. These French people are out in these streets. They're mad about their benefits. And we got people out in the streets here in LA, as you know, the SEIU 99 members trying to get a living wage. Talk to me about what's going on in France, because we really haven't talked about it at all on this show.
Well, what's happening is that President Macron, the leader of that country, is trying to change the retirement system. As you know, Social Security and Medicare, the retirement system in the United States, is like the third rail. Even the Republicans at the State of the Union address, they pledged not to tamper with Social Security and Medicare. Although, don't take that to the bank, quite frankly.
Right.
But in any case, the working class in France is up in arms. They're not taking it. And they're even angrier because what Mr. Macron did is that at first he was trying to jam it through the parliament, but then he decided to take another route, just to do it by decree, as if he were a tin-pot dictator. And that has inflamed the ire of the French people even more. And I think the part of the problem that France has is that you can retire at the age of 62 as of now. And Mr. Macron feels that that makes France uncompetitive, particularly when trying to compete with the United States of America. So he's trying to raise the retirement age. In fact, buckle your seatbelt, but there's going to be an effort to raise the retirement age in the United States as well.
Which is already 70 right now, isn't it? Hasn't it gone up to, like they've been raising it a little at a time?
Well, yes. I mean, it's possible to get Social Security at 62, but your benefits are much higher if you retire at 70. The problem of raising it higher than 70 is that the lifespan of many Black people, because of the terrible and atrocious conditions that we're subjected to, oftentimes does not extend beyond 70. And so what that means is that we pay into the system as younger workers, but then are not able to benefit from the payout as we grow older.
In other words, we're subsidizing all the white folks that are on Social Security, is what it really comes down to, in a sense.
Well, that's an understatement, quite frankly. And the United States has some real problems. I know we're talking about France, but it's difficult to talk about France without talking about the similar problems that we face in this country.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's all connected. To me, that's one of the reasons why I honestly, think the French battle is so important, because when some of these European countries that don't have the work till you die mentality of the United States start moving towards austerity and moving towards these later and later retirements and fewer benefits, that's really not a good sign for us, right?
Oh, it's not a good sign at all, particularly because the progressive movement, the union movement, the radical movement, the working class movement is much stronger in France than it is in the United States. I think that that's a fair assessment. And so the issue is, if you can jam this down the throats of the French, it makes it easier to have even more severe and draconian measures that we are subjected to.
Yeah. It's funny you said it's the third rail, and I did think it was quite a skillful moment. It was a masterful moment when Biden kind of made the Republicans pledge on national TV during the State of the Union that they weren't going to cut these benefits. And I found it really interesting that Donald Trump's latest truth or tweet or whatever it is that he's doing now is attacking Ron DeSantis, saying he's going to cut Medicare and Social Security.
Well, that's going to be a very interesting battle that's shaping up.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis just angered certain Republicans by claiming that the dispute between Russia and Ukraine is a territorial dispute. Actually, he was trying to ape Mr. Trump. But now he's backed away. He's said that Vladimir Putin, the Russian leader, is a war criminal. And so he has been untested on the national stage. He's going to find that running for president is quite different than running for governor of Florida.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're talking with Dr. Gerald Horne, and I do want to get your take on the banks. I know you say you want to talk about the Clippers and the Lakers. Can't wait to hear what you have to say about that. And this meeting between Russia and China, what does it mean? All of that and more. Maybe you'll put on your JD hat and give us your thoughts around the ongoing trial of Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas. So much to unpack on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
It's almost Easter, so I hopped on over to Kohl's to shop their friends and family sale. With the extra 20% off, I was able to get my entire family outfits that are not only perfect for our Easter celebrations, but their looks will wear all spring long and beyond. And that's why I love Kohl's. I can always count on them to have everyday styles and everyday savings. Select styles. Offer ends March 26th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Gerald Horne is with us. A lot to talk about, Dr. Horne. So I'm going to kind of go at you rapid fire. I know it's only Thursday, but I know you can keep up for sure. So talk to me about this meeting between the Chinese president and the Russian president. There's so much going on here domestically that maybe we're not tracking it, but it seems like I feel like I'm missing something. You know, you get the mainstream cable spin, but I feel like I'm missing something.
It's monumental. It's difficult to overestimate the significance of the meeting between the Chinese president and the Russian president. My own opinion, and the opinion of many, is that what led to the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 was the fact that 20 years earlier, China had worked out a deal with the United States on an anti-Moscow basis that led to massive foreign direct investment from U.S. corporations into China. U.S. corporations, including Microsoft, Apple, particularly Tesla, are heavily dependent upon Chinese manufacturing capacity, if not the Chinese market. And so now the United States has decided that that was not a good deal. China is, in return, snuggling up to Moscow. That's going to help Moscow in its confrontation with the United States and NATO in the Ukraine. And it could also ultimately have impact on the importance of the dollar. The dollar is the major prop of U.S. domination and supremacy worldwide. With Russia moving away from the dollar and with Chinese currency increasingly being used in trade worldwide, this could be the beginning of a new world order.
Wow. And so how does, I mean, clearly that's an erosion of U.S. Power, U.S. dominance worldwide. I read that China wants to be seen as, diplomatic, but I don't know. It also seems like, like it'd be amazing if they came in and brokered a peace deal. I hear them talking about that on the one hand, but on the other hand, it seems like that's not what Putin is after at all.
Well, first of all, China feels that it's next. China feels that if Russia is defeated, the United States and its partners are coming after China. And so Russia is a kind of firewall for China. Second of all, with regard to China's ability to broker peace, recall that just a few days ago, you had another monumental development when China brokered a peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Representing the two wings of Islam, speaking of Sunni and Shia. They have been at each other's throats for decades. Now they're ever closer. And so that was a feather in the cap of China and has won plaudits around the world.
Yeah, but by around the world, you're not including Israel for sure.
Well, that's an understatement. But certainly, I'm including Africa. I'm including the Caribbean. I'm including Latin America. I'm including a good deal of Asia.
Mm. Interesting stuff. And, I try not to get too overwhelmed by it because we have plenty to be overwhelmed by here at home. The New York grand jury that's deciding whether or not to indict the 45th president took the day off yesterday. And the former president, seems anxious to be arrested as soon as possible so he can raise his profile and rally his troops. But we don't even know if he will be indicted, right?
No, we don't. But he will be indicted either by the Manhattan District Attorney, Mr. Bragg, by the Fulton County, Georgia prosecutor, Fonnie Willis, who happens to be the daughter, by the way, of a founder of the L.A. Black Panther Party, speaking of John Floyd.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
Drop bombs, Dr. Horne, drop bombs.
And he may be in trouble with the New York Attorney General, New York State Attorney General, speaking of Letitia James. Now, all of these law enforcement agents are black. And, of course, Mr. Trump, as they say in the United States, is seeking to play the race card, charging that this is not only a witch hunt, but a racist witch hunt. But the bottom line is that even if the Manhattan DA fails to indict him, he is far from being out of the woods.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, but all the cable pundits, two things they say is that, why hasn't the Department of Justice moved quicker? And the other thing they say that I don't know about, they're all dismayed that why is the Stormy Daniels case first? For me, it's like catch him where you can. I don't see waiting for the perfect crime. He's already gotten away with so many things, including Trump University, which seems like, and emoluments, which seem like they should be open and shut. Do you agree with those pundits on either of those points?
No, because first of all, the Justice Department in Washington, D.C., under Merrick Garland, has appointed a special prosecutor, Jack Smith, who's looking into the Mar-a-Lago documents case. That case could easily mushroom into a wider investigation. So, on the other hand, I do think that it is interesting, at least, that the Justice Department has not gone after Mr. Trump on federal campaign violations. That's part of the case that the Manhattan DA is bringing. That is to say that he's saying that Mr. Trump committed an offense when he tried to cover up the hush money with regard to its alleged affair with the adult film actress Stormy Daniels. But in a sense, this was a campaign donation because that $130,000 to Stormy Daniels was a asset to his campaign for president. And it is curious, at least, that the Justice Department has not gone after him on that.
Yeah, I sure know people who have suffered for much less than that in terms of campaign violations. Dr. Horne, I feel like I haven't really been keeping up the way I used to. The mom life and the radio life has kind of taken me away from sports. But talk to me about, I know you want to talk about the Lakers and the Clippers, and Miles is standing by wearing his Los Angeles Lakers shirt in case I need help on this conversation. So talk to me.
Well, with regard to the Lakers, it's going to be an uphill climb to make the playoffs, particularly since LeBron James is injured. With regard to the Clippers, I was optimistic with regard to the Clippers' chances until Paul George went down with a sprained knee. And that means that they may face the Phoenix Suns in the first round of the playoffs, and it's unclear if Paul George will be back by then. So it doesn't look good for the two LA hoopster teams.
I mean, you're in Houston. Why do you care?
Well, I used to live in Southern California, and then I still visit Southern California, and I don't know. I'm a closet Laker fan.
All right. I'm an out-of-the-closet Laker fan who hasn't had time to watch. Miles, what do you say?
Dr. Horne, I feel like, and I'm a diehard Laker fan from Vegas, but a diehard Laker fan, and I feel as if what are the Lakers playing for? Because we're playing now trying to claw our way into the playoff picture, and that's assuming best case scenario, LeBron comes back full strength and he has to play, 40 minutes again? What are we even trying to grind this hard for? I get it as Laker fans. I get we want to make the playoffs. We're spoiled, all that good stuff. I understand that. But long term, for next season, we probably not going to win it this year. Why are we grinding so hard, Doc?
Well, the way I look at it is that you're preparing for next season. I mean, for example, the more these guys play with each other, the more they can hone their teamwork. And the Laker management, which has been under justifiable fire, needs to be congratulated for stealing D'Angelo Russell from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Because when he's been out there, he's been playing like an all-star.
Now, Doc, quick question, because we gave a lot of flack and, we talked about LeBron as the GM when it was the Russell Westbrook trade. How come he doesn't get the same love for the D'Angelo Russell trade?
Well, I agree. As a matter of fact, Paul George has been criticized in the LA Times for lobbying for bringing Russell Westbrook to the Clippers. Now, I have to confess, contrary to mass opinion, I think Russell Westbrook has been pilloried unnecessarily, that he still brings the energy to the court. And I think Paul George needs to be congratulated for bringing Russell, or helping to bring Russell Westbrook to the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Are you anti or pro Russell?
I'm pro Russell. I think Russell is a Hall of Famer. I think he is somebody who's never cheated the game. He's never cheated the fans. I love watching Russell Westbrook. Do I think he was overpaid for the Lakers? 110%. I think that we'd be in a much better situation if he would have been a little more, willing to renegotiate that contract for us or to take a buyout. But I'm pro Westbrook all the way. I'm
pro Russell Westbrook too, because I've seen him in the community.
Yeah.
Right. He's in LA. He's an Angelino, and he's here for the hood. So I'm here for him regardless of what the politics of the game are, because he's always giving back.
But not for $47 million a year. Off the bench,
I understand what you're saying, because you're putting in the context of the team. I'm like, pay the black man every cent he can get, all of them, all the time.
That's more than LeBron's
Pay my people. Pay my people. Yeah, no, I understand your point. I mean, I'm sure you're right, but I'm not going to hate on his money.
Right. He earned it. He got the contract, so yeah. I'm not mad at him. But as a Laker fan, it was tough to watch.
What is it they say in business? You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Who's your predictions, Doc? What are you going with for the title? For the title and MVP, give me those two.
MVP, MB.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm hoping his team goes all the way. Although I wouldn't bet my last dollar on it.
Okay. So give me the Eastern Conference Finals, and Western Conference Finals.
Well, let's see. Western Conference. Let's say Phoenix, and I'm not sure who they'll play.
Phoenix without KD, even though KD's coming off a injury right now?
When will he be back?
They said playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
With regard to East, Embiid, Philadelphia. 76ers.
Okay. I like it. We're writing it down right now. So in a couple months, we're going to come and hold you accountable for that prediction, Doc.
Now, here's something I never followed even when I was following sports, which is March Madness, because I never really got into the whole college thing. But
UCLA is...
Yeah, go ahead.
UCLA is playing Gonzaga tonight in Las Vegas, and we'll see what happens. I can't say I'm a UCLA fan, to be honest. And obviously, I have to root for the University of Houston Cougars.
Since you work there, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, can you get fired for not rooting for your school's team? I'm just asking.
Well, let's hope not.
But do you do like a bracket and you track all the different teams, all the different college teams and such, or is it kind of a, bandwagon March thing for you?
Yeah, it's sort of in between. I
mean,
I have sentimental attachments to a number of teams. University of Kansas, which got eliminated because that's my older brother went to school. I'm happy to see that my alma mater, Princeton, somehow made the Sweet 16,
which
is quite unusual. And, of course, the University of Houston Cougars.
Good stuff. And then for some reason, you're obsessing on L.A. teams today. We've just got a minute and a half for news, traffic, and sports. What do you want to say about the Angels and the Dodgers?
Well, with regard to the Angels, there was a classic moment just the other day. That's why I wanted to mention it. When Ohtani, probably the best player in the world with regard to baseball, and he plays for the Angels, as you know, faced down his teammate, Mike Trout. This is, of course, the World Baseball Championship. Ohtani for Japan, Mike Trout for the USA. It was a classic moment, and he struck him out with a sweeping slider. It was unbelievable.
Well, there you have it. If you haven't caught up, go check it out on YouTube while you're busy looking up Dr. Horne's lectures. After news, traffic, and sports, I do want to hear what you have to say about the Chicago mayor's race. Apparently, more impactful than many of us may have thought. We've got at least one or two folks that have questions for you, Dr. Gerald Horne. And I want you to put on your legal hat, dust off that JD, and let's get your thoughts on what's happening in an LA courtroom with the trial of council member Mark Ridley Thomas, which is ongoing right now as the defense mounts their case. And from what attorney Ariva Martin says, it could be going to the jury inside of a week. All that is coming up on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on a Thursday. It is March 23rd. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Interest rate hikes may soon come to an end. That's according to the latest projections from the Federal Reserve. It has what's called the terminal rate at 5.1%. The latest rate hike pushed rates up to 5%. This story is out of Alabama. Montgomery's mayor is looking to be reelected. Stephen Reed greeted supporters Wednesday at an announcement from his campaign at Gateway Park. He said he has plans to invest more in skills training programs to prepare students and others with no degrees with good-paying jobs. Voters elected Reed to be Montgomery's first black mayor back in 2019. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Got a crash in Atwater Village, blocking a middle lane on the 2 southbound near the 5 interchange. That's causing some slowing from San Fernando Road, so that's unusual for Highway 2. In Pomona on the 71 southbound, you got some potholes in the left-hand lane. This is right on Mission Boulevard. Traffic is so from the 10 and the 57. And just a heads up for the weekend, they're going to completely close the 71 Friday night, Saturday night, and again on Monday and Tuesday night. In Fountain Valley, got a vehicle stalled 405 open at Euclid Avenue, causing some slowing in the area.
When you want the best deal on the best meal, choose Wendy's 2 for $6. Pick from Dave's Single, Spicy Chicken Sandwich, 10-piece Crispy Nugs, or a medium strawberry lemonade. Pair any two for just $6. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's. 2 for $6.
Is this the tackle?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers beat Phoenix by 11 last night. 3 players scored 25 or more. 27 for Anthony Davis, 26 for D'Angelo Russell. Austin Reeves had 25 and 11 assists. Clippers star Paul George has a sprained right knee. He'll be evaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. George is expected to miss the Clippers' final 9 games of the regular season. The NCAA tournament resumes tonight. UCLA is a 2-point favorite over Gonzaga in the West Regional Semifinal in Las Vegas. 6:45 tip-off on CBS. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
It's Aaron from Original Taco Pete. Let us cater your March Madness munchies. Order with us at Original Taco Pete on Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, or stop into our Slauson and Crenshaw location. We'll feed you soon.
I'm young, gifted, and black. KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
Hello, this is Dr. Rosa Milligan, self-appointed mayor of South Central Los Angeles, calling authors and business owners. Get ready for Black Writers on Tour, plus Business and Tech Expo, Saturday, March 25th, 2023, 10 to 3 p.m. It's a face-to-face event at the Carson Community Center.
Authors, aspiring writers, learn how to write, publish, and sell your book. Business owners, let people know where you're at, and much more. 323-750-3592. It's a free event. You heard right, free. And there's something for everybody. Go to blackwritersontour.com and register today. 323-750-3592.
Literacy is everybody's business. Black Writers on Tour, Saturday, March 25th, 2023, 10 to 3 p.m. I'm looking to see you face to face. 323-750-3592 or visit blackwritersontour.com. Don't miss it.
KBLA 1580 Talk Radio congratulates Sal's Gumbo Shack for this Women's History Month. Surviving the pandemic and social unrest, Sal's Gumbo Shack continued to hold the community up with great food to all that came through the doors. Are you ready for the best gumbo in town? The best po' boy you've had? Sal's Gumbo Shack. We bring the bayou to you with real authentic soul food. Mama and Granny's recipes made with real butter, real love, real everything. Also introducing a healthy option from our jackfruit selection. And there's more. Mouth-watering desserts, peach cobbler, banana pudding, red and blue velvet cake, 7-Up pound cake, homemade with lots of love. To order, call 562-423-2113. That's 562-423-2113. Sal's is also providing training and employment to those serious about a career in the food industry and the opportunity to perhaps own your own Sal's Gumbo Shack one day. Visit salsgumboshack.com or stop by either locations, Bixby Knolls or Long Beach Boulevard. Sal's Gumbo Shack.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? I didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Before we launch into my ever-expanding list of things I want to get Dr. Gerald Horne's take on, I'm going to go straight to the phones. Before we digress, Dr. Gerald Horne, of course, one of our leading historians. He's a professor of history, Morris Professor of History and African American Studies at the University of Houston. Cindy from Inglewood, you're on with Dr. Horne. Welcome.
Oh, good morning, Dominique. Hi, Dr. Horne. How are you?
Okay.
Hear you. Yes, I always love it. So thank you for inviting him always, Dominique. Such a wealth of information. But Dominique, and Dr. Horne, I kind of want to piggyback on the last caller you had on, Lawrence West. Is it okay?
Of course.
Okay. All right. Since we were talking about a lot of things with the Confederacy, I love what you said. You said, "Who lets a flag fly from the enemy?" To something like that. And I wanted to he kept mentioning criminalized. You know how everything is criminalized, and I just wanted to say, I think the cause and effect of that is the 13th Amendment, that clause. You know how it says slavery is abolished except for punishment of a crime. So our black people was always criminalized, and everybody knew it except for us. In legislation, when you write that kind of stuff, you criminalize to go to the store. You criminalize when you're jogging. You're criminalized when you do this. So I wanted to say I would love to see that repealed, because he mentioned it. He said we're criminalized in every area, mental health and things of that nature. So on our liberation, we were criminalized. We were also set free, but then we were criminalized. So it kind of gave the Confederates an upper hand to say, if we just criminalize them for this, this, and that, it's kind of like you gave us something, but you took it away.
It's like a re-enslavement, it sounds like you're saying. And
exactly.
I think that is somewhat the argument that the documentary 13th makes. Dr. Horne, Lawrence West is the founder of the Richmond, Virginia chapter of Black Lives Matter. And we were having a conversation. They started, that chapter of BLM, grassroots, started as a result of their work to get these monuments taken down on Monument Way there, including Robert E. Lee and many others, Jefferson Davis, many others. And so that's what Cindy is riffing off of. And perhaps you want to, as a brilliant historian, weigh in on some of the points she made.
Well, first of all, I salute the folks in Richmond for taking down those statues. I remember the first time I went to Richmond and saw those statues. I mean, they were so huge. I mean, they were reaching to the sky. And the fact that they were able to organize to take them down is, in fact, to coin a phrase, monumental. With regard to what's happening to us, my own opinion is that when the slave owners were defeated in 1865 in the U.S. Civil War, billions of dollars in property, that is to say us, were taken without compensation. And I think that that's really the nub. When I tell my classes that point at the University of Houston, oftentimes you see these students, they're fiddling with their iPhones, and I come and snatch the iPhone out of their hand and say, I've just taken your property without compensation. You want to fight, don't you? Well, that's what's going on to this very day. They haven't gotten over the fact that their property was taken without compensation, just like we are pushing for reparations, which is the opposite side of the coin.
I mean, in Haiti, the Haitians paid the French for their property, a.k.a. themselves. And now, they should be returned that money. But I can see what you're saying. I remember an interview with Paula Deen when she got busted for calling her staff the N-word all the time, when she was reminiscing about what her parents and grandparents went through, the hardship they suffered when they no longer had enslaved people to work their farms for them. Well,
the fact is that many of these slave owners' families, they were plunged into poverty. Now, I'm not trying to evoke tears on the past, but I'm just trying to explain the situation and why they're still furious, why they're still killing us, in fact.
Mm. Well, Cindy, thank you for that question. Okay, I don't want to run out of time before we get to the conversation about Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas, who is, on trial here in Los Angeles, and who has done something rarely seen in these types of situations with a federal indictment for corruption charges, standing up against the feds and saying that he wants to clear his good name.
Well, full disclosure, I've known Mark for decades, back from the time when he himself was a radio host. I admire his labor. I admire his work. And I'm not necessarily the most unbiased person to talk to about this case. Having said that, I was rather stunned by the fact that the feds threw the book at him, 19 counts. And I should also say that somebody needs to do an investigation of the University of Southern California.
Yeah.
Because he's just involved in too many different scandals. Recall that part of the case against Mark is supposedly he was helping out his son, getting his son some sort of plum post at USC, and in return was arranging for the LA County supervisor body to have contracts with the social work school. But that's just one amongst many allegations and charges against the University of Southern California, which really needs to be investigated. Then the other point is that I have to say that I'm sympathetic to a man who tries to help his son, which is really the heart of this case. And I think that helps to explain why Mark has been able to raise tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars, according to the LA Times, which is no friend or fan of Mark, from many different sectors. I was bowled over by that article that they published a few days ago.
Yeah, it's really a lot of folks that are stepping up. I do think it's that. I mean, help our kids is what we do. It's what we all do. But I also think it's his work, here in Southern California, which is concrete and long-standing and everywhere. Like most of us have been touched. Even the haters have probably benefited from things that have been put in place by the work of Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas.
Well, clearly, and the thing with Mark is deeper than the average politician. It's no accident that Cornel West, who is one of his closest comrades, was in the courtroom on the date that the trial opened. Mark is a deep thinker. He's not just the average hack politician that you oftentimes find on the city council or the board of supervisors.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I've known Council Member Ridley Thomas for a long time too, but not like we hang out and go have drinks, but I've known him to be helping the community. I've certainly voted for him in many different roles, and I've been an admirer, really, of the work that he's done on behalf of Black folks and Latina people and Angelenos in general. And I'm not even pretending that I'm objective here. I'm praying every day that he prevails in this particular case. Attorney Ariva Martin seemed to think that the state's case was not that strong. Agree or disagree?
Well, of course, I'm not unbiased, but certainly I think it's a weak case. And as I said, they threw the book at him for some reason. But the question I have to you and your audience is, what is the scuttlebutt with regard to the jury and the judge? Because ultimately, that's really what it comes down to.
You know what? Ariva gave me some notes on that, but nothing too in-depth. I might have to get her back in here. The jury is mostly people of color, which I would consider a good sign. 2 Black folks, a number of Latinos, and some Asians. To me, that's a good sign. He's not facing an all-white jury. The fact that in Los Angeles, if you're Mark Ridley Thomas and you're facing Latino, Asian, and Black folks, they have a sense of who you are historically and are less likely to just be bamboozled by misinformation and some of the things that are coming out in the courtroom. And as you say, the LA Times stating that his defense was what he did was unethical but not illegal, when in fact that was never the defense. That was their summary or their decision to come up with this slogan, which was never what the defense said. And to me, those kinds of things are very damaging. But I think that if you've got a jury with a lot of people of color, you stand a much better chance of them seeing through that kind of rhetoric.
Well, once again, Roy Cohn, the late Roy Cohn, who was Donald Trump's infamous lawyer back in the day, when he would go to court, he says, I don't want to know what the law is. I want to know who the judge is. And that's my question. Who is the judge and what is the scuttlebutt with regard to the judge?
More on that when we come forward. We're talking with Dr. Gerald Horne and you on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Are your utility bills getting hard to pay? Get some relief with Easy Save. Income qualified LADWP customers can save money on their bills and discover even more savings. Learn how and apply today at LADWP.com/Easy Save. That's LADWP.com/Easy Save. Saving money made easy with Easy Save.
Black women making history at the Oscars. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. The 95th Annual Academy Awards took place this week. Although the show has black media critics in an uproar due to Angela Bassett not winning Best Supporting Actress, we still celebrate costume designer Ruth E. Carter for becoming the first black woman to win 2 Oscars. Carter has worked on astounding films in the past, such as Selma, Malcolm X, and Spike Lee's School Days. Carter's moment has come again as she has won her second Oscar for Best Costume Design in the Marvel sequel Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. After taking home her win, Carter says she hopes that this can create more opportunities for other women of color in film. I'm Aisha Cairo, and that's your K-Black Minute News.
Law Office of J. Blacknell understands the stress and anxiety that comes with legal issues. That's why we support the right to a fair trial for Los Angeles Councilmember Mark Willie Thomas. Do you have a criminal or civil rights matter? If so, please give us a call at 310-469-9117.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates Women's History Month, sponsored by Walmart. As we celebrate Women's History Month this month, KBLA Talk 1580 would like to spotlight women leaders in our community who are creating positive change. If you or someone you know is making a difference in your community, please nominate them with a 50-word or less post on why you feel they should be included in the KBLA Women's Series, sponsored by Walmart. These women leaders will be featured on KBLA, interviewed on KBLA, and participate in a panel discussion hosted by Reva Martin in real time. Visit the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to nominate a woman in your community that is creating positive change. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action. This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
And to your point, the judge in the case, Dr. Gerald Horne, the judge in the case of Mark Ridley Thomas, is Dale Fisher. She was nominated in 2003 by George W. Bush and is a Trump appointee, but I'm being told now is seen as someone who is fair, whatever that means.
Right.
One person's fair is another person's foul. Let's go to Willie calling us from Palmdale. Hi, Willie.
Good morning, Dominique.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Horne. I want to ask
Hello.
Dr. Horne. Good morning. I want to ask you, Dr. Horne, do you think the only way to stop the ban for TikTok is for them to sell it to Europe?
I'm sure you know that there's pressure to sell TikTok, which, by the way, is a sort of video sharing app that comes out of China, although the CEO is from Singapore and he's of Chinese origin. And there is pressure to sell TikTok to a U.S.-based entity, if not a European-based entity, because it's feared, according to the folks in Washington, that TikTok is gathering intelligence for the Chinese government. Although I'm not sure how cat videos lead to intelligence, but that's the story.
Well, I mean,
enough.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Horne. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, because I'm glad Willie brought it up, because I was saying I got to ask Dr. Horne, how can the U.S. government force a private company to sell? I mean, isn't that, wait for it, communism? Da-na-na-na.
Well, as you know, it's like Groucho Marx, the late comedian, used to say, if you don't like these principles, don't worry, I have others. And the issue is that these folks are free market until something comes up that they don't like. Look at Silicon Valley Bank, those folks up due north. They were all, get the government off our backs. The government only causes problems. And then when the bank gets into trouble, they call the government.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of hypocrisy that gives capitalism a bad name, to coin a phrase.
You don't like these principles? Don't worry, I have others. Well said. But the bottom line is they are trying to force TikTok to sell. because of the spying. And like I said, they could just buy the data from Meta if they really wanted. I mean, we've been spied on by every, Google, or whatever it is, Alphabet, whatever. All of these social media companies are gathering our data and keeping it in giant supercomputers. So why is TikTok really any different when we're talking about global corporate manipulation of data?
Well, number one, it's part of this hysteria about China, which we talked about earlier in the hour, which the hysteria is bipartisan. Democrats and Republicans alike are united.
You're going to make me fall out of my chair. Finally, bipartisanship. It just happens to be hysteria.
Although, interestingly enough, Congressman Bowman of New York, whose district is adjacent to AOC, he's a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, he is against this crusade against TikTok. There's a big article in the New York Times about him today. Although, if you're a cynic, you then have to wonder if he's getting campaign donations from TikTok.
Right, or if he has a job lined up already as a lobbyist. Dr. Gerald Horne is our guest. And when we come forward, we're going to have just a few minutes before we pass the football, or maybe it's a basketball right now. It's a basketball to Tavis Smiley, like we do every day right around this time. I want to hear the final thoughts, the highlights that Dr. Gerald Horne wants you to have in your brain for this beautiful Thursday when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with one of the panelists, the owner of Kids Love. Take a listen.
So Kids Love, KIDSLUV, is a first-to-market zero-sugar, vitamin-enhanced functional beverage for kids.
So the zero sugar is really important because if not, the sugar gets on the teeth, it can cause cavities. So as a mom, I love this vitamins and hydration in one. Tell us what's happening here with Chase Bank today.
So I would say, I think what Chase is trying to do is create a community actually for entrepreneurs, a place where people can go. They have the space to do it. It's a beautiful space. And to be able to have these conversations. There are so many benefits to being a women-owned and certified business from a standpoint of getting into stores, not paying the slotting fees of what it takes to be in stores. So I think Chase is trying to bring awareness to a lot of the things that people just don't know about, that not only the bank can help, but outside of the bank, their relationships can help create.
That's beautiful. And I know, this is how we build equity in communities of color, is kind of spreading that information and that knowledge. So thank you for being here today and doing your part and letting these women know that it is possible.
For KBLA 1580, I'm Maisha Cairo in the community with Chase.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Talking with Dr. Gerald Horne, one of my favorite folks to chop it up with, talking about politics, global, local, and national. What would you like to leave in our brains this morning, Dr. Horne?
Well, we haven't spent that much time talking about the continent, and part of the good news is that in recent months, we've been talking about that conflict in Ethiopia between the central government and Addis Ababa and the Tigrayans. It seems, and underline seems, to have calmed down. Apparently, they're not massacring each other and shooting each other. And that's very good news because Ethiopia, as you know, is not only the headquarters of the African Union, and in many ways the headquarters of Africa itself, but it's also the second most populous state in Africa, behind Nigeria, has enormous economic prospects given its siting in East Africa, which means it's across the Indian Ocean from both India and China, and a lot of investment from India and China is pouring into Ethiopia. So with the waters being calm, let's hope that they stay calm.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, that's a super important point, especially as we see conflict arising in Europe. Nice to see seemingly quelling in Africa. We have a few minutes left here. We didn't get to really take on the banking crisis. You have referred to it, touched on it. I was interested to see Elizabeth Warren yesterday really critical of the Fed and the interest rate hikes and saying, it's not, the problems that we have with banking and the problems that we have with inflation are not just fixed by raising interest rates. We've got to look at regulation, and we've got to look at corporate gouging and also these conflicts.
Well, Senator Warren is absolutely correct. One has to wonder, what was the Federal Reserve doing when Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank were going down the tubes? Then this is becoming global. Look what's happening with the Swiss banking system. I'm speaking of Credit Suisse, which, by the way, was one of the few major banking institutions headed by an African. Speaking of the Ivoirian, Côte d'Ivoire, Thiam Tijan, who, by the way, was married to a Black American woman until quite recently. Now they've gone down the tubes. There's a fear that this banking crisis is contagious. And you recall what happened in 2007, 2008. In fact, one can make an argument that one of the reasons that Barack Obama was elected in 2008 was because of the banking crisis. And there was a fear that capitalism was going down the tubes. And so people were frantic and fearful, which is why they voted for him over John McCain.
Interesting. And, it's funny because, we're not hearing as much talk about how the president of the Silicon Valley Bank was one of the big voices calling for deregulation. So they want deregulation. Like you said, they want to take the risks, and then we, the people, back them up. And so if it comes to, us having to bail out deposits over $250,000, Senator Warren said that's like we're providing insurance for these banks without charging them for it.
Well, not only that, but I thought these banks were in business. I thought they were in the business of taking deposits and then taking the deposits and investing. And the burden of the downside should be on them, not on us. I mean, if that's the case, we should cut their $1 million salaries down to the level of a post office clerk, for example.
Yeah, if we, the people, are actually the backstop for their risky gambling in the stock market and elsewhere. Dr. Gerald Horne, remind us how to keep track of you.
Well, Facebook, YouTube, those are the two major ways. That's what I would recommend. And
or go to a bookstore and buy a book.
Coming out in a few months.
Oh, okay. Looking forward to that. You can find his not that old book on Amazon or at a bookstore near you. Dr. Gerald Horne has many to choose from, and they will all undoubtedly make you smarter. Dr. Gerald Horne, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tavis Smiley's up next. I'll see you on social media. KBLA 1580 is where we are on YouTube and all the socials. Please like, follow, and subscribe. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. And I'd love to talk to you after I get off the mic. Until tomorrow, be safe, be well. One love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.